2016 was a golden year for Jackie Chan. Standing on the Oscar stage, he gave a tearful speech, thanking his family in front of the entire world.
And I thank you, my family, my wife, Joanne, my son, JC.
But that exact same year, his biological daughter was lining up for free food in Canada, a reality confirmed directly by the daughter herself, Etta Ng, to international media. While her father sat on a net worth of over $350 million, not a single penny made its way to her. Etta was even forced to sleep under a bridge. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, JC Chan, his only son, was sitting in a prison cell over drug charges. How on earth did it come to this? How could a man who spent his whole career playing the protective hero on screen leave his own children to fend for themselves? The answer doesn't start with his kids. It starts 60 years ago with a lonely little boy standing at the school gates waiting to be picked up, and no one ever came. The story we're diving into today isn't about a movie star. It's a story about inherited pain. From a brutal Hong Kong boarding school in the 60s, to the peak of Hollywood, to a jail cell in Beijing, and under a bridge in Canada, we're going to trace how an abandoned child grew up to become an abandoning father. And by the end of this video, there's a recent twist from this year that might just rewrite the ending to this story for the very first time. Before we tear this all down piece by piece, if you want to support Trace Zero so we can keep bringing you deeper, long-form investigations, consider joining Trace Circle. You'll get exclusive stickers featuring my face to use in the live chats and comment sections. I'll see you there. Hey Tracers, Sean here. Welcome back. Today, we're digging into the complex, dark, and deeply emotional family dynamic of one of the biggest martial arts icons on the planet, Jackie Chan. We'll look at how trauma gets passed down through generations, the harsh reality behind the glitz and glamour of fame, and how the past always finds a way to catch up with us. Because you never know how deep this hole goes. A baby boy was born in Hong Kong on the 7th of April, 1954. His birth name was Chan Kong Sang, a child the world would eventually come to know by his stage name, Jackie Chan. At birth, he weighed over 11 pounds. He was so massive for a newborn that he instantly became the talk of the hospital neighborhood. Back then, Jackie's parents were dirt poor. His mother had to undergo a C-section, and they didn't have a single dime to pay the doctor. Seeing their desperate situation, the attending doctor offered an extreme way out. He would wipe their medical debt clean if they handed the baby over to him for adoption, plus a $250 cash bonus.
When my parents cannot pay the money for the hospital.
She just held you in?
He want to sell it to the British doctor for $250.
They were going to sell you the baby?
Yeah.
Out of sheer desperation, Jackie's father actually considered taking the deal. Luckily, a family friend stepped in at the last minute to settle the bill, allowing baby Chan Kong Sang to go home with his real parents. 7 years later, Jackie's dad landed a new job, working as a head cook at the American Embassy in Canberra, Australia. His parents had to relocate, but unfortunately, Jackie couldn't tag along. By then, Jackie had turned into a hyperactive, incredibly mischievous kid. He was even expelled from primary school for refusing to sit still. Since bringing such an unruly child into an embassy environment was out of the question, his parents were forced to make a drastic call. They handed him over to a boarding house called the China Drama Academy, a Peking Opera training facility in Hong Kong that groomed children into acrobats, singers, and stage performers. His parents signed a 10-year contract with the headmaster, Master Yu Jim Yuen. The contract essentially gave Master Yu total authority to train, physically discipline, and even siphon Jackie's performance earnings to cover the school's operating costs. One brutal clause even stated that the school bore zero responsibility if a student was injured or died. Inside those walls, Jackie's life became a living nightmare of strict routine and relentless hardship. Days kicked off at 5 a.m. and didn't wrap up until 11 p.m. The entire day was packed with non-stop acrobatic kung fu, singing, and acting drills. Mess up a move, and you get beaten with a cane. Jackie endured this relentless physical discipline for 10 full years. Yet, every weekend, the other kids were allowed to go home and see their families. Sadly, Jackie could only watch them leave from behind the school gates. He knew his parents were thousands of miles away in Australia. Even though his mother dropped by to visit whenever she happened to be back in Hong Kong, Jackie spent the vast majority of his weekends in total solitude inside the empty dorms. This cycle repeated endlessly until his contract finally expired when he turned 17. This brutal childhood forged two distinct traits in Jackie Chan. First, it turned him into an extraordinarily disciplined, tough as nails, hard-working human being, the very traits that would later turn him into a global movie legend. Second, it left him with a deep emotional scar. The core belief that he was completely on his own, and that survival meant relying on no one, not even his parents. The first lesson brought him fame and fortune, but the second lesson, 40 years later, would be passed down straight to his own children. After his 10-year stint at the Academy ended in 1971, Jackie decided to head to Australia to reunite with his parents after a decade apart, but life over there was far from smooth sailing. With no star power and zero English skills, Jackie had to scrape by working as a construction laborer. Since his birth name was too hard for the Australian crew to pronounce, a site foreman named Jack decided to give him a nickname, Little Jack. Over time, that got shortened to Jackie. That construction site nickname ended up sticking with him as he began bouncing back and forth between Australia and Hong Kong in the early 1970s. Unable to stand the grueling routine of construction work for long, he kept trying his luck in the Hong Kong film industry as a stuntman. But the movie business back then was cutthroat. The jobs he took were insanely dangerous, and the pay barely covered his daily meals. Yet amidst the struggle, an act of kindness came from Bruce Lee, the ultimate global martial arts icon. While filming Enter the Dragon in 1973, Bruce accidentally struck Jackie in the face with a stick. Knowing that an injured stuntman could earn extra hazard pay, Bruce Lee played a clever trick on the stunt coordinator. He specifically requested to keep Jackie on set for a dangerous night shoot, even though the scene was completely routine. Bruce's clever trick worked, allowing Jackie to walk away with $250 in a single day, a massive payday for a movie laborer back then. Tragically, their time together was cut short. Bruce Lee passed away suddenly that very same year. The legend's death sent the Hong Kong film industry into a severe tailspin. Low on work and utterly frustrated, Jackie was forced to pack his bags and return to Australia in 1975 to work as a manual laborer alongside his parents once again. Just as Jackie was ready to give up on his dreams, a miracle struck in 1976. A film producer named Willie Chan spotted Jackie's raw talent and sent him a telegram. Willie invited Jackie back to Hong Kong, offering him a shot at stepping out of the stunt crew and into the spotlight as a leading actor. The initial results, however, were a complete flop. His first few films as a lead star, including 1976's New Fist of Fury, bombed hard at the box office. The problem was that producers tried to force him into the Bruce Lee mold, serious, tragic, and heroic. But that just wasn't who Jackie was. His true breakthrough finally came in 1978 with the legendary hit Drunken Master. For the very first time in front of a camera, Jackie was allowed to just be himself, unleashing high-octane acrobatic action mixed with slapstick humor, goofy antics, and a complete lack of fear when it came to looking silly to entertain the crowd. That bold gamble paid off big time. The film blew up, pulling in a staggering 6.7 million Hong Kong dollars and permanently reshaping the future of Asian action cinema. Through this massive triumph, Jackie Chan officially stepped out from the shadows of his past. He was no longer a Bruce Lee copycat. He was a brand new legend in a class of his own. Following the explosive success of Drunken Master, Jackie took full control over every dangerous stunt in his movies. He insisted on pulling off every extreme feat himself, completely without stunt doubles. While shooting Armor of God in 1986, Jackie attempted a jump from one rooftop to another. But the tree branch he used for leverage snapped, causing him to miss the landing and smash his head against a stone ledge, leaving a literal hole in his skull. The attending surgeons weren't even sure if he'd survive or end up permanently disabled. Jackie pulled through, but he lost hearing in one ear forever. While filming Police Story in 1985, Jackie slid down a light pole wrapped in live electrical wires. His bare hands made direct contact with the hot conductors, frying his skin scars you can actually see in the movie that aren't makeup at all. And during a high-stakes shoot for Super Cop in 1992, Jackie leaped from a building onto a rope ladder, dangling from a helicopter dozens of meters in the air. But the chopper moved faster than planned, slamming his body into nearby structures, leaving him badly bruised with a fractured cheekbone. His movies were massive hits, and his name echoed around the globe. But due to the extreme danger and the constant threat of life-altering injury, not a single insurance company in the world was willing to underwrite the risk on his body during filming. During this same era, Jackie's personal life spun completely out of control because he was utterly unprepared for that kind of sudden wealth. In his autobiography, Jackie admitted to frequent binge drinking, heavy gambling, and throwing money around like crazy. His wild lifestyle even caused him to wreck 2 luxury cars in a single day. He smashed his Porsche in the morning and by nightfall wrecked his Mercedes-Benz while driving completely wasted. But to keep all that wealth and empire safe, Jackie eventually felt compelled to make an extreme move. He publicly shifted his persona and began bowing to the political wishes of the Chinese government. Why? On the 27th of May 1989, Jackie Chan stood on stage at the Happy Valley Racecourse in front of over 1 million Hong Kong citizens during the Concert for Democracy in China. At the time, the people of Hong Kong were gripped by fear, as the British-ruled territory was slated to be handed over to the Chinese Communist government in 1997. When the Chinese military opened fire on student demonstrators demanding democracy in Tiananmen Square, Hong Kong citizens immediately mobilized, staging a massive 12-hour benefit concert. Jackie was right on the front lines alongside hundreds of fellow artists, wearing a protest headband and singing to raise funds to support the students and his own people's struggle. But 15 years later, Jackie's stance took a complete 180. Over in Taiwan, an island that had never been ruled by the PRC government and had operated as a self-governing entity since 1949. The public had just held their first direct presidential election in 2004. During a press conference in Shanghai, reporters asked Jackie for his thoughts on the election, and he casually brushed off Taiwan's democratic process, calling it the biggest joke in the world. That off-the-cuff remark instantly sparked widespread public outrage across Taiwan. Taiwanese citizens were deeply offended, feeling their hard-earned democracy had been mocked. As a result, when Jackie arrived in Taipei 4 years later in 2008 to attend the 45th Golden Horse Film Awards, angry protesters met him right at the airport with fierce demonstrations. That same year, the Chinese government hosted the Beijing Olympics. Leading up to the event, there was a global torch relay. Tibetan activists seized this international spotlight to stage protests along the route, demanding independence from China. Jackie Chan responded to the demonstrations by dismissing the Tibetan protesters as rebellious kids just looking to get on TV. His vocal support for the Chinese government escalated a year later in 2009 at a business forum in Hainan. Speaking before an audience of executives, Jackie openly declared that the Chinese people actually needed to be strictly controlled, claiming that without control, people would just do whatever they wanted. That comment triggered swift, fierce backlash from politicians in Hong Kong and Taiwan who championed democratic freedoms. 10 years down the road, Jackie's submissive stance toward Beijing only grew stronger. In 2019, Hong Kong was rocked once again by massive anti-government protests, with millions taking to the streets to oppose a controversial extradition bill that could allow Hong Kong citizens to be sent to mainland China for trial. Many viewed this law as the final nail in the coffin for Hong Kong's free speech. But instead of backing his hometown, Jackie Chan popped up on Chinese state television to criticize the protesters, urging the public to just make peace with the situation. The climax came 2 years later, in July 2021, during a film symposium in Beijing. There, Jackie openly showered the central government with praise. He expressed envy toward those who were members of the Chinese Communist Party, calling the CCP great and praising its ability to deliver prosperity to the people. Jackie wrapped up his speech by stating that he was eager to become an official member of the Chinese Communist Party himself. Although he never officially joined the party, his close ties with Beijing yielded massive dividends. The Chinese government appointed him to the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, CPPCC, a high-profile political advisory body. This key position became Jackie Chan's ultimate secret weapon. This special status granted him red carpet access and unbelievable ease when it came to distributing his movies in China's notoriously strict film market. In a single stroke, this political maneuvering safeguarded Jackie Chan's multi-billion-dollar business empire from government blacklists and boycotts. These political moves may have cost Jackie millions of fans and earned him deep resentment in his own birthplace. But the drama outside his home was nothing compared to the storm brewing within it. He brought that exact same rigid mindset home with him, and the cycle kicked off in 1982. The very moment the boy once abandoned at a Hong Kong boarding school officially became a father. Alright tracers, this video is getting insanely long, and to be completely honest with you guys, my stomach is killing me right now. Pretty sure my acid reflux is kicking in because I ate way too much spicy food earlier. So we're going to pause things right here so I can go take some meds and get some sleep. We'll pick this story right back up in part 2 tomorrow. Drop your thoughts down in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, if you're still watching this, maybe you're looking for the same thing I am.